start this first panel. No, I was in Venice this year, and I first met Gabor Greiner from Film Boutique in the street just before the screening, and after the screening, it was a very very nice film that won at Orizzonti the prize of the award of Best Film. And then we had a coffee with Maison, with somewhere, and with Juli Berkes, the producer, and she explained us all the production, which was, you will see, not so easy. And we couldn't imagine that, seeing the impressive result. And I thought it would be, first the film is invited here in competition. So it's the big screening is tomorrow. There was also a screening just before. And we imagined it would be a perfect case study for both production and sales, and I think you will understand why. And we have the chance to have also with us the director of the film, Gabor Greiner. You can tell a few words maybe. Yes.
Hi, I'm Gabor Greiner. I will be really short. I just stand here because I'm represent the trailer. That's all. I'm just a listener here.
Nem tudok semmit volna.
Hát a szimbolistákat úgy, ahogy az ipari forradalmat meg még nem.
De Ábel, már tényleg.
Ki Magyarország pénzügyminisztere?
Ki a francia elnök?
Ki az Egyesült Államok elnöke?
Hát a Biden.
Az a Biden bácsi. Tudod, hogy ebben a családban ki bukott meg? A senki.
Nem Ábel.
Baj van? Ábel, ha kell még idő, nyugodtan üljön vissza 5 percre még, és dolgozzon rajta. Ábel, miért van magánkokárda?
Nem lehetett volna azt a gyereket átengedni?
Próbáltunk neki segíteni, kérdeztük, mi a baj, nem válaszolt. Forrásokat se használta. Semmi.
Elmondanád, hogy mi volt a történelem érettségi?
És nem bírod ki, de csak behozod a politikát. Nem kéne már kicsit kikapcsolni?
De az a baj, hogy pont erről van szó, édesem.
De jól vagy?
Igen, lehet, hogy ennek a fiúnak fájt az, amit te kérdeztél.
Haló, jó napot kívánok, Hajnal Erika vagyok, újságíró a Magyar Napoknál. Mesélj erről a tanárról.
Te mit képzelsz magadról? Van fogalmad arról, hogy mit művelsz?
Magyarok vagyunk, nem? Az is baj.
Ki fognak csinálni minket?
Magában csak gyűlölet van, semmi más.
Mert magában aztán nincsen gyűlölet, igaz?
There we go. Thank you, everyone. Hi, my name's Ben Dalton. I'm international reporter at Screen International. I'm very happy to be hosting this case study of Explanation for Everything. I hope you've all had your fill of wine and cheese and oysters earlier. We have a very fascinating discussion ahead. We do have our two esteemed guests here, Juli Berkes, the producer of the film from Hungary's Proton Cinema, and we have Gabor Greiner from Film Boutique, the sales agent. We also have Gabor, the director, in the audience. If we have any confusion, then we're going to go to Gabor G and Gabor R, but hopefully we'll manage with that. As has been said, Explanation for Everything debuted at Orizzonti in Venice, where it became, I believe, the first Hungarian film to win that Best Film Award in Orizzonti. I don't think Hungarian.
Yeah, I think it was also the first Hungarian film in Orizzonti, as I remember, yeah.
So definitely the first to win. There we go. And has since played at several festivals since then, which we'll get into, and is now here in competition. Some very quick housekeeping. We'll have about an hour or so for our discussion, in which we'll include hopefully some marketing clips, and we have a presentation to show you some elements of the development and sales of the film. We're also very happy to take questions throughout, so if you do think of things that seem interesting while we're talking, just stick a hand in the air and we have a microphone that we will get to you. So there's no standing on ceremony here, just as and when you think of things. But to get started, Juli, you'd worked with Gabor before. This is Gabor's third film. When did he first come to you for the idea for this one, and what were your thoughts?
Actually, I met Gabor in 2006 in film school. We started together and made all his short films and his 3 feature films together. I don't specifically remember the day when he called me with this idea, because he calls me every second day with 2 ideas usually, so it's an ongoing process, but we talked about it, and I know when he had the idea. So just very, very shortly about the past, his first 2 feature films were both big hits in Hungary, with huge admissions compared to Hungarian industry. Internationally, they traveled as well. They didn't do so good as this one, but yeah. So there was a history, and we were, constantly applying to our only film fund, and we were constantly getting rejected. We have a new board on the fund, and basically 98% of the projects don't go through anymore. It became very political, and we are not that political, direction that they like to see. So basically, Gabor had the idea of the film itself in 2020, when our only film school was basically one day to another, they decided to take it over. I don't know how to say it nicely, but like the government basically took over the film school, and there was a huge protestation, and the students decided to blockade the university and not let anyone in. And this went on for several weeks or almost a month, when COVID was already breaking out, and the government said that everybody has to stay home, and that's when they basically took over the film school. And this is when he first had the idea that suddenly there was a group of students who were studying to be directors, DOPs, editors, and from one day to another, the government press started labeling them as anarchists, terrorists, communists. So they Gabor got very upset about the fact that even he and all of us who protested there suddenly became something that we weren't that definitely, but he just started thinking about this, that these are young students who, normally their life should be about going to this university, making films, finding themselves, and suddenly they are labeled something that they cannot take of themselves. So this is how the idea came.
That's great, and I think that touches on something that will probably come up throughout our discussion about the political context for this film, which is very important. So again, if there are things you want to ask about that, please do take your chance here. So when you have that idea and you're sort of thinking, right, we're going to go into another film here with Gabor, do you make a plan then about how you're going to put the film together? And if so, sort of what is on that initial plan?
So he had this idea in 2020, but back then we were developing another film. We were only in development phase, and then that got rejected. That was political as well, but nearly not close as this one. And then we submitted something that was not political at all, just to test the system if that goes through, but it didn't. And that's when we, I think it was in 2021, end of November, when we decided, okay, 4 years have passed since the last film. This should be the time when we are, we have a lot to say, when we should be making movies. Nothing's happening, and we can't waste our time with applying. But clearly, they don't want us to make any films. So we basically, since we kind of grew up together in film school, and our first when we made our first feature film, we got funding for a short film, and Gabor was always telling me that he wants to make his diploma film as a long fiction film. So already then, we kind of made a list, like, if you don't have any money, how to make a film. And it starts with crossing out everything, like no lights, no makeup, no continuity, just to keep it as small as possible. And of course, when you don't have money, then you have to work with a lot of first-time filmmakers, which can be great, but it's also, of course, a risk as well. So we kind of just went back to our knowledge already that, okay, I said I think I can get this much money for now. I will try to finance it continually. Hopefully we can do that, because I felt that the story is very good. So for some reason I wasn't scared about it. I'm not proud of it, because this is in a normal world I would not even, start shooting before we're financed or anything. But this was just like, we got so pissed that we decided, okay, we are not waiting anymore, let's just do it. And let's just do it with how we can. But for this, I also really needed to have a partner like Gabor, who's, he knew exactly that if there's a location we cannot get, let's go to the next one. So he didn't make any problems with that.
Sure, I think we have a next slide showing some of the sort of production, the timeline of it. Now, as we know, as people in this room know, films can take years to put together sometimes. It's 5 years, 6 years.
Oh, previous one.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Okay, we see the script outline. Was it something you wanted to touch on there?
It's just to show that we decided in 2021, let's say beginning of December. That's when I registered at the project at the film office, which is just a procedure that means that from then on you can submit invoices. I checked it yesterday. That was 2021 December, and then Gabor started writing, and basically he finished the script like the weekend before we started to shoot, but already on the step outline 3 it was quite concrete, so we were already doing a production schedule, and that it was super fast. We started shooting on the 1st of August, so the whole thing was like half year, I think.
Yeah, so it moved very quickly, and if we could go to that next one.
But just one funny point, that when at first he only sent me 47 pages of the script, and I called him. What he usually does is he sends me a script and then calls me in 2 minutes, like, okay, I sent it to you. So, but now he's only doing that to make me mad lately. But I read the first 70 pages and I told him, I'm so proud of you, because every film we did was minimum on 70 locations. Like, he really loves going around in Budapest and going on trams and subways, because he doesn't drive, so it's like everything usually is on public transport. And the first 47 pages was playing in a school, on a street, and in the flat. And I was like, Gabor, yes, And then we ended up on 64 locations, but that always came later with the,
And so we can tell that, the advantages of streamlining it, of getting it done quickly in that way. What were the challenges of moving to production so quickly? Did it give you enough time to develop it?
I mean, in general, if Gabor has the idea, then I think the writing goes pretty fast. It's always a long process to get to that point when he can start, really. Sure, I mean, we had to find a crew. We knew we don't have any money. I think we started with, it will be on the next slide, but under 50 or 70,000. It was so low, the amount of money we had when we started shooting. What I did was, I said, okay, we have 20 days max. We decided to have a crew of 17 people, so everybody was doing multiple things. We didn't have any kind of luxury, as you will see later on. And I think the key was that we needed a DOP who's used to documentary film shooting. He's also a friend of us. We have shot with him before. He's very good, and and he wasn't sending me lists of all the lamps he wants to have, because he knew that he will have 1 lamp in total. And we needed to have a good sound guy, because sound is something you don't forgive if it's bad. And other than that, with Gabor, we have made films before. Everybody else was a first-time filmmaker. My idea was to not bring in a normal production manager who's used to film prices. So we got a guy who was organizing these festivals and events, and I told him that, okay, I need someone who can organize. We had 3 people in production. I need someone who can organize good. I will be there the whole time. It's not, we don't have a base camp. He doesn't have to know how with the electricity, 3 times 63 ampere. We didn't have any of these. So basically I needed someone who I tell what to do and could do it. And I got lucky, because this very young team ended up to be very motivated and good. Yeah.
That's great. We'll look at them in a second. But just on this issue of the budget changing during the shoot, which does happen, but it's fairly rare that it would change that much, I think. How did that affect your production? Did it allow you to do more things, getting that extra money in? Would you have been able to make the film at that original 47,500 euro
No,
budget?
this money was enough for the shooting itself. So this was ridiculous, but it was only enough for that 20 days. And we knew that for post-production we have to get, of course, much more money. And what we did is we applied to the Slovakian Film Fund because we have partners there. They really liked the script, and we said, okay, let's just treat the committee as grown-ups as well, because they will clearly see that this is not something meant for co-production. This has no Slovakian elements, nothing in it. But we just submitted to them a first version, like a 3-hour, 20-minute edit. That was the first rough cut of the film. And then we had a talk with them, and they saw it, they really liked it, and they wanted to help. So this is why we get the money. And of course, everything that we spend in Hungary, we get the tax rebate on, which is automatic on spend. So this is how I was always trying to elevate it more. Yeah.
Sure, and then I think it's our next slide shows, yes, this is the core crew of 17, of whom 13 were first-timers. Now, I guess that brings a good energy to the set, does it? But does it also have its challenges of working with people who've never done this before?
Yeah, well, actually, luckily, they were all very intelligent, as I said. Actually, it was much easier to shoot with them because nobody really, they didn't want to have any kind of luxury. So, and everybody saw that everybody has to touch stuff, hold it, do it, So it was really a joint effort to make this happen. And on the other hand, we had a lot of days when we had 5 locations. We had one day when we had 18 locations. That was crazy, but so with a crew like this, you put them in 3 cars and then you can go. So it's very, very fast and just go and shoot. So
18 locations, 18 in one day.
Yeah, and this was Gabor's big trick because like the weekend before we started to shoot, we knew that he's still working on scenes, and then he went to consult with his co-writer, who's like the mentor. She's a very, very great woman. We went to her dramaturgy classes in film school, and she told Gabor that okay, this film cannot start in a room. You have to like bring in the audience. So that's when they had this idea to do this kind of serenade location. And I remember when I read it, it was 20 kids, like a class doing this serenade, the first scene of the film. And we went to 60 locations with them. It was like meeting in a park, going down to the tram station, going with a tram, getting up, going on the, I don't know, it was running around. And we only had, I think, 5 hours to do that one. And then we went on to 2 other big scenes of the film.
There you go. Any producers in the room, there's no excuses. If your director comes to you and wants to shoot 10 locations in a day, that can be done. So
yeah, but that can only be done if you don't have any trucks, you don't have anything. I mean, you can, like, we cannot do anything nearly close. If you have like 50 people there, then it gets really heavy, and
you have to streamline.
This was a combat group. Yeah.
And honestly, it's a dream for a producer, but you need to have a flexible director knowing how to master this.
Yes.
So
there we go.
A joint effort.
Thank you, Ida. We've left him silent for far too long, but to bring in Gabor. Now, Films Boutique has such an excellent reputation for international, including European, sort of auteur and art house cinema. What was it that drew you to this one in particular?
Thank you. We always had a particular interest in Hungarian cinema, in new Hungarian filmmakers, and with Juli we were in touch actually since a very long time already on Gabor's previous films. That if you haven't seen them yet, really watch them. For us it was not the right time with those films, but I was really hoping that sooner or later it will be the case. And then on this one, when Juli was telling me about all the production constraints and how quickly all this was happening, we kind of agreed that we are going to watch a cut of the film once it will be ready, to see if we can work with that, because of course for us from the international perspective, the second question that distributors, buyers ask us is the budget of the film, and in this case, so we had to once we had the film, we had to I wouldn't say lie about it, but just not tell the truth. And so. So there was this side. So on the one hand, we were very interested in the filmmaker. On the other hand, what was very exciting about the project was that it had so many different elements in it that we could use for the sales. Honestly speaking, we were very afraid about the political aspect, which is, of course, an essential element in the film. But at the same time, we were not sure how well that would travel on the international market, how well it would be understood, how well international buyers are aware of the situation in Hungary, how well that would translate to their own territories. So we try to focus in that sense on the love story aspect of the story, which is also an essential part of it, and which makes it a more classical kind of coming-of-age story in that sense. So there was these different elements that played in, and once again, we were really talking for a long time with Juli to find the right project. So it was also one of the main goals was to find something together.
And this came about at the First Cut Lab, I understand, last year. Juli, you say you made a list, had you, of sales agents, and you then ended up talking to Gabor.
It was a very weird process because I'm used to a lot of rejections. So basically on this First Cut Lab, we were talking about, there was a session dedicated to which sales agent, there were a lot of experts there, and like which sales agent they thought would be the best for this film, and they said Films Boutique. And I actually made a list of 3 sales agents this time, one we already worked before, and so basically partners. And Films Boutique was the first one I sent the film to. And then I remember that Gabor watched it really, really fast, and 2 days later he wrote back, okay, I want to show this to my colleagues, please don't show it to anyone in the next 2 weeks, I will get back to you then. So I didn't show it to anyone that next 2 weeks, and then he said, okay, we want to have it. It went super fast, actually.
Yeah, on our end, if I may add, so it also went really fast because I watch a lot of films, and many times it's not such a fulfilling experience, or you really have to make an effort to watch the film to the end because you feel that it's not the right one for you. And here I must say it was one of the rare cases where from the first frame I was completely into it, and I felt that this would be something very special. And then maybe we can tell a few of the secrets as well, that of course, so I was aware that and Juli told me that the film was at the First Cut Lab, so I quickly found out who were the people who were watching in the First Cut Lab the film. And then we will talk also about festival strategy later on, but one of the persons in the lab was somebody from Venice Film Festival. So as we all are somehow connected and know each other quite well, it was also very easy to quickly get feedback directly from that person. And there was the confirmation that the film was very well received also within the lab. So it, of course, for us, it was also a good sign to know that festivals might like the film as well, and especially when it comes to the political aspect. So that was very reassuring that here the feedback was that the political element in it is universal and is something that is clear also, at least for Italians.
How long was the film at this stage when you first saw it, Gabor? What was the length?
So the length was 320 something, and this is so usually when it's this kind of length. So I think twice with starting to watch the film. But to be honest, on this film, what happened was that not a single time I looked at the watch. So in fact, once the film was over, I completely forgot that it was so long, and when we afterwards started, and we will talk about that as well, but when we started the discussion about getting the film shorter, it was actually really painful and very tough, because we just couldn't say what should be shortened, because in my opinion the 320-something version was already the perfect film.
And was the version that you sent to Venice, how long was that version? Was that 320?
No, so there was a six, so let's say 4 to 5 months in between the time that the film was participating in the lab and the moment when we submitted it to the festival, and then it was already this length. So we had actually these 3 to 4 months to shorten it down, but it really took a long time, because in fact, and maybe Gabor wants to say something about that. It was the question was always, if we take out the 5 to 10 minutes, if it doesn't somehow mess up the pace, because there were things in it that or scenes in it that were probably not essential to have in the film, but still it messes up a lot of other things. So it was a long process. Do you want to say something about the shortening?
Yeah, I mean, we got the first feedback for the 3 hour 20 minutes that it's the best first cut they ever saw. So I was a little bit worried, because I wanted to come down on the length. Just because, of course, I talk to sales agents as well, and they always tell me like, okay, you will never sell it, you will never screen it. So this wasn't, and Gabor knew it as well. And then we came down 50 minutes. It was actually, I don't remember this part anymore. We just agreed like what we took out some small stuff, and then we really tried to shorten it. And then when we stopped at 2:32, I still wanted to go a little bit more on the first 1 hour, but then Gabor was like, enough. No, and he was always making a joke. But the Venice selector said that he will miss all the scenes that are taken out, and I said, yes, but come on, let's concentrate on how to make the best version of the film. Yeah.
And when was it that you got the confirmation from Venice? Was it May of last year that Venice said the film was going to be in?
So the whole process actually with the festival, it was an ongoing discussion, because the person that we were in touch with from the Venice selection committee was very persistent and very in a very nice way. So really constantly reminding us that we shouldn't forget to show him the film as soon as we were ready, and then we showed the film. Actually, I think it was March, maybe. Around March that we showed him the film, and then so that was this 2 hour 30 version. And then we had very quick feedback from him that in his opinion, so the film is even better than it was before. So that was reassuring that we didn't mess up on the shortening, and then the rest of the committee needed to watch, and then the discussion, it was about also the section at the festival. Because we had several sections actually in Venice who were watching and liking the film very much. So then it was about which section would be the right section for the film. Also for us, for you, for Gabor. So we were talking about that, and in fact this was decided at very late moment. So we knew that the film would play in Venice. We were just not sure about which section it would be. So in the end, this was decided basically on the day before the press conference.
Sure, yes, and now the film played there in Venice and won the award, but that was September, so that was just over 3 months ago. Since when it has played almost 10 festivals since, like many festivals around the world. So in Busan, in Marrakesh, it's now playing in competition here. How did you work out that strategy of going for so many festivals? Also, I should mention it played in Chicago, where it won 2 important awards, including the best film. how did you work out that strategy of going for so many festivals in the early months? And when are you starting that strategy? Are you working on that throughout the year?
So in fact the way it works usually, and the way we did it here as well, was that that before the film premiered, so we also sat down with the filmmakers to discuss on what, which festivals Gabor's previous film went to, which festivals he has a particular interest in, also a relationship with, so that we can come up with a nice and fulfilling strategy also for him. And then of course we needed to wait and see what will happen in Venice. There are a few festivals that are coming right after Venice that are important for us for the sales, particularly Busan, for example, which is for the Asian film market, so for the Asian sales. So that particular festival and was one where we had to show the film in advance, so even before the film screened in Venice, but the strategy was to wait and see what would happen in Venice. To be honest, we were a bit concerned about Orizzonti, because there is a very high number of films that are premiering in that section. It's a wide mix of documentaries, fiction, experimental. So it's also easy to get a bit lost in there. So we were very much pushing for an early screening date, because we felt that if the film has at least a chance to build up a word of mouth during the festival, this could help to achieve more on the way. And so we got this beautiful screening date. It was actually the first film in Orizzonti that screened on the very first festival day in the afternoon. And what was a great surprise, surprise in the sense that you never know what will happen, but people like Jeremy picked up very well on the film, and it's true that there was a real buzz that built up throughout the first days of the festival. So that also from festival programmers. So we had very good returns from festival programmers. So we had immediately an invitation from the Biennale, for example, where they also made the film, the opening film, which took place last October. And so the overall strategy for the festivals, to answer your questions after this long monologue, is that our aim was to find the best festivals in as many territories as possible, so that we can combine the festival selection with afterwards a sale to the best distributor in that territory, because then the festival invitation can also help for the local release. So that's how it came by, that we had so many festival invitations, because so right now we are also, and we will get to that as well, so on the sales side we are very, very happy, because so especially on the European side we have many territories sold. We are over 25 territories that are sold so far. So basically most of Europe is sold out, which also means that we have less to do on the festival side, and then it's really the distributors taking over. But then it was also important to find the right festival for North America, for the US in particular. And there we had a fan of the film right in Venice, which was Mimi from Chicago, who invited the film very quickly, and as you said, so we were really extremely happy about the success in Chicago. So that was on the North American side. Busan was great. So Busan selected the film, invited the film, so we could screen the film in the festival as well as screen it in the market. That was fantastic as well, and many more festivals are on their way. So we'll have a lot in 24.
Yes, this film is not done yet. It's going to be playing at festivals throughout 24. So look out for it there. We had another slide just before about the press strategy, because it'd be interesting to talk about that. If we could go back a couple of slides, because the film got just one before that, I think it was. The film got positive reviews from the international trades, including Screen out of Venice. But there's a particular situation as regards the press reception in Hungary. I think it's just one slide before that, yeah, that's the one. Could you tell us a bit about what the situation is as regards press coverage in Hungary and how that changed throughout the journey of the film?
I think the press coverage didn't really change. It's rather, we made a timeline with the Hungarian distributor that at first nobody really wanted to take the film. So before they knew about Venice, we got a lot of rejections. For example, the distributor wanted to make a Q&A in one of the Hungarian cinemas, which is owned by the government, and they wrote back like, "Is this a provocation that Gabor will be talking there?" And the distributor didn't understand what, like, why would it be a provocation? And they said, no, we will screen the film, but he cannot come here because, again, about this political background. And then the distributor got a little bit afraid that this might, now it will show up this whole political problems in the Hungarian distribution as well. And also Cinema City, which is this like plaza screenings. At first they were hesitant because not only because it's political, but it's long, so they weren't very enthusiastic to screen the film. And also there's one international film festival which rejected it, but that was also for a political reason. So at the end, they started out hoping that there will be 30,000. Hungary is a very small country and not many people go to cinemas, especially for Hungarian films. And if you have an art house film that reaches 30,000 viewers, that's already considered a success, which is a little bit ridiculous. After Venice, then it started picking up. The film festival invited it back, which was the film festival that rejected it because of political reasons says, okay, we put it in a side section. And we didn't want to start a war there, so we said, okay, then put it in a side section, we don't care. Cinema City programmed it, and actually they started, the press started, and we started to have more and more of these pre-premiere screenings, because Gabor is known in Hungary, so his first 2 feature films were all over, like all with 65,000 viewers, which was very good. It was considered a success. And of course, after the award, then 62 cinemas took the film in the end, and now they estimated admissions to 80,000, and now we are already at like 78,000 viewers, so it went up.
It's found a way through to find its audience, which is always wonderful when that happens.
I think it's also important that we knew that we will not get, we won't get any money for distribution, of course. So everything had to be basically advanced by the distributor. It was a risk for them as well. And I felt that we had like much more press stuff to do. We had a lot of pre-premiere screenings, so we kind of, with Gabor, we were feeling like, these monkeys dancing around the whole time, and he was giving 6 interviews a day, so it was very tough because we knew that, we will not have any posters anywhere or any kind of advertisement anywhere, because we will not get any money for it.
And in Hungary, what kind of press is available for a film that is critical of a political situation? And I understand there was a situation with one review that went up that then was not available anymore.
Actually, we knew beforehand that there's 2 possibilities, that what the government media will do, what they can do. One is not talk about it at all, just like this movie never happened. The other is that if they find anything that they can attack it based on, then they will take it into pieces, and then all the newspaper will take that over. But they couldn't really find anything to criticize in it, because exactly the film was not about that, not saying that they are stupid or we are stupid or anybody's stupid. It was showing how tormented and how divided our country became. So like nobody wrote about it, and there were, I think, we found 2 right-wing newspapers that wrote about the film, and one wrote a very positive critique, and then the next day it disappeared. So only some people got to read that one, and the other one, So, but basically, yes, we got 96% of liberal newspaper coverage.
When that happened with the Conservative one, did you contact the publication to find out what happened? Is it worth doing that?
I think our press agent did, but I think she never got a reply. But already when we were in the production of this film, it was very interesting for me because at first Gabor wanted to have real Hungarian newspaper names. In the general story, there was even more media attached to this whole scandal. And he said, you know, we are living in Hungary, I want to name everything as its name. And of course for this you have to ask for, you have to have a permission to do that. And we went pretty high up, even to, you know, to reach some people, and nobody replied to us. Like, because of course, you know, what do you do? We have to send the synopsis, we you know, we have to communicate what this film is about. And there was only one radio which wrote back that, oh, we have the feeling that this film is very political, right? After I sent the synopsis, I said, yes, right, it is political, but this is what the film is about, that, you know, and it's important that we talk about this. And then they were the only ones that replied, no, sorry, we don't want to have our names anywhere in anything like this. So we couldn't use any original newspapers, and this is why even the journal that the father is reading, that we made up the name. Yeah.
We've sort of skirted around this a bit so far, but I think this is a good time to really dig into the political aspect of this. And if you do have questions, anyone about this, please do get your hands up, and yeah, our guests are happy to take those. But to take it back to the production, you didn't apply for production money from the National Film Institute in Hungary. Why was that? Can you explain why you made that choice?
Because we didn't want to waste our time anymore. I mean, after 2 rejections, we felt like, you know, we clearly got the message. So even to apply with the easiest thing, it's, you know, it's a lot of work to put together an application, and I'm really happy to do that work, as long as I see 1% that it has, you know, any chance of survival. And sure, you know, I'm very proud of what this film made, but with this budget and shooting like this, I'm not proud at all. And, you know, putting together a financing like this, it was. I brought some pictures for you guys. It kind of looks like a shit show what we did there. It was so basic, like all the actors were bringing their own. Yeah, maybe just some pictures. Yeah, this was like, there you see, that's one of the actresses dressing the main actor. She was also the costume designer and the dresser. She was playing the journalist in the film. The actors were, like, what we did is we told the costume designer told them to send all their clothes, like, and then she picked it out like that. So yes, you can go on. Yes, this was our makeup department. Yeah, these were our base camps. We moved into friends' house when they went on vacation, and like we promised not to touch anything. So that was like my corner. This was the base camp in the middle of the city. You know, Gabor laying on the grass there. This was all our equipment. Yeah, this was, we didn't have any money for grip, so like we were there, we wanted to, this is the last scene when they are running, there we got a drone, that was our, you know, like the biggest thing that we did on this film, but when they are, that was the luxury, but when they are like running, we got a boat, which started like the day before, it was inflated, how do you say it, Eres? The air was going out, because we decided like all our crew will push the boat, but then there was no air in it, and then we were like, our production manager was trying to get a boat that doesn't sink. This was the production designer's grandmother's wheelchair that we borrowed. This was some bicycles. So these were our grip equipment. Yeah.
There we go, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful to hear those stories of, you know, producers are some of the best people at finding a way to get it done, and you clearly have that talent. But it's also unfortunate that you should have to do that. It's a shame that you're forced into that situation. Do you have any ideas for ways that maybe with the European film community, producers could be helped so that they don't have to, you know, particularly those who are in situations where they're not going to get that support from their national government?
I mean, you know, speaking from, like, we are still an EU country, I don't know for how long, but, you know, I don't see that we can apply for, you know, it's like we are not a third world country, so normally this should be solvable in our own country to do films. And also, in Hungary we don't have, like, streamers don't invest in local content because it's such a small market. HBO, of course, closed all its offices. Netflix never. They buy films later on which is also something that doesn't make a living for anyone. So yeah, I mean, we are constantly trying to, I think like at the moment, there's two ways to make a film. One is like this, like going back to pre-university filmmaking when you're like, you know, like there were days when our mothers were cooking for us. So like you can do films like this, and yes, it's very nice to, you know, it's a lot of energy to work with a young crew, but it's, you know, like normally, like I remember when Gabor was working on the script, I think around March he had some, I don't know, he lost a little bit his force, and he was a little bit confused about the project, and then I told him that, okay, Gabor, I'm only doing this if I feel on you as well that you want to go through the wall, because to be honest, to produce like this, I kind of felt I have to, like, you know, grow this like thickest skin you have. I remember I had discussions about, we had to rent like one monitor because you need a monitor, you know, where you're checking what you're doing. And then they sent me a quote of like 3,000 euros, and then I called the head and I said, we have 327 euros. And then, you know, he was like, are you joking? I said, no, I'm not joking, this is what we have. So, you know, it's not funny to work like this. And of course, the way we solved it is that we had a very small crew, and everybody was more or less first-time filmmaker. And now that there are revenues coming in, we will, you know, distribute it amongst the crew. So this we try to do, but this shouldn't be a business model. The other option, which is in a test phase now with another project I'm doing right now, is to kind of try to move Hungarian IP out of the country. But you know, like I'm not convinced like why the Germans would, you know, fund a Hungarian director. They have enough people there. And normally, if you want to put together a co-production, then the minimum you have to bring is something from your own country. And we actually have possibility to get maybe minority funding from them, but I think this is the maximum. Like even Cornel Mundruczó, he didn't get majority money after 7 films in Cannes. He could make a minority film.
Sure. One of my favourite things about the film is, even though it's very clearly a Hungarian film, the context, the political instability is present in other countries, in Europe, probably around the world as well. Would you have any advice, any words of support, any thoughts for filmmakers living in countries with similarly conservative or oppressive regimes for how to get it made, as you have done? What would you say to those filmmakers?
I think as Anna said as well, it has to be a collaboration. Like you need a director for that, because a lot of directors are not able to do that, and you know, and you cannot do something like this with someone who's not flexible at all, because he has to be the most flexible person on the world. Otherwise, because it's, you know, all you get is no's. I think, yeah, if you really feel you have something to say and you're willing to go through that wall, I think, you know, you have to gather your friends and then just make it happen somehow. I mean, I didn't figure it out either yet, so I don't have very good, you know, I get a very good colorist. That's my advice, because then you're from the, you know, then you can get away with shooting with one lamp.
Right, I see.
And a good sound engineer.
I see. Again, do put your hands up if you have, we have a question just here.
It's much, yeah.
Get the microphone to you.
Thank you. It's much more a comment or a point of debate and so, because for me it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking, and I'm serious, to get after all the achievements you have to work. Yeah, it can work for once, indeed, and it's a heyroop and it's a solidarity thing and it gives you energy as well to do it like this, but otherwise it's heartbreaking to get into this situation, and you can't do it forever. I mean, you can do it once, but the amount of energy that you are putting into this, you cannot continue like this, and you cannot make a living.
Yeah.
Because it's not only about making films, it's about surviving to make the next film as well.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about the amount of solidarity that you had, not only in between the filmmaking community, but also then in the distribution, and because I was wondering already if the turn into the distribution response was more out of the sense of the economical outcome, or it was like understanding what the film stands for and wanting to be part of the process?
I would say the latter. I think we got a lot of support during the distribution, but it happened on the first two films as well. So in Hungary, it was a little bit easier because of this, because like Gabor, he's also the composer of one of the composers of the film, and already on the first feature, they made a band which had like sold out concerts, which is very connected to the, you know, promo. And now here as well, we made concerts. We made like a charity concert so we can take the crew out to Venice, because of course we didn't get support for that either. But I felt that we got a lot of, I don't know about you, Gabor, but I felt we got a lot of support in this. And, you know, and the way we communicated about the film, it was important for us to take on what the film communicates, to, you know, we don't want to blame people, don't want to say, we just wanted to make a point that there is a huge problem, and, you know, and people are getting more and more frustrated, and it's, you know, in between families and friendships that are breaking. And sure, we got a lot of criticism as well, that this should have been much more critical, you know, against Orbán's country, but this was not the point of it. It was the point to show that we have a problem, and this is getting worse and worse. But I don't know, I think I felt that we got a lot of support in terms of, like, from the audience, and we got a lot of feedback from them, a lot of letters, that they will take their, you know, Fidesz voter grandmother to see the film, and we heard about, what I liked also is that there were a lot of debates on Facebook, and I felt that a lot of them stayed on a very intelligent level, so not going, you know, into, because this is a problem that you saw the scene where the father starts shouting with the professor, and there's, you know, you don't have a conclusion to it, like everybody's just saying their own stuff. But what I liked about it is I felt that there were cases when there was very nice communication, very cultural in a manner.
It's one of the sort of strongest things film can do. Oh, we have another question just here. We'll get
Two questions. So the first was, you were talking about how you were getting the budget on drips and drabs. You had the 47. I don't know if I understood how you got that event. And then the next bit, I was looking like you got some money from Slovakia. Yeah. And then there was like another half of that money came from Hungary.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
So basically,
I had another question.
Okay, yeah, I didn't talk about like the whole financing thing. So what you have to know about our company is that we also do a lot of service productions, which is that foreign films come to shoot in Hungary, and we do the service for them. It's American films, Swedish films, and basically the company is making money out of that, so they get an overhead. And since we are, I don't know, 4 producers in the company, and we all have our love projects, and we really want to produce as well, that part of the overhead is allocated to our own projects. So this is how we allocated an amount, and as I said, in Hungary, if you spend anything, you get an additional 30% rebate on it. So every time, you know, for example, when we got the Slovakian money, they were allowed to spend 20% elsewhere, which was, of course, you know, we needed like every drop that was coming, and then immediately we could count the tax rebate on that spend as well. So this is how we could always, when we got some money or when we allocated some more money to it. And we also, before, on his previous films, we had some revenues which we are always using the money that we're making to, you know, to go ahead with the next one. And even here, part of the money that's coming in, we are already allocating it for the next film.
So there's 2 questions. So also, how much is a cinema ticket in Hungary? What is the gross? And then there's one more question.
Yeah, mennyúság 2500?
Most jegyár? 2005.
Yeah, it's like 6 to 8 euros.
Oh, okay. So you've got like what, 400,000, 500,000?
I mean, yeah, but
No,
not at all. No, it's what's. I also hear that a lot of times that they say, oh, this film, you know, in Hungary, let's say the budget was 35 million HUF, and the box office was already over 150 million HUF, and then a lot of people think that we get that money, but you don't get 10% even of that money, because, you know, the VAT comes off, which is 27%, the cinemas keep more than 50%, then the distributor takes off their P&A cost, which was, of course, you know, fairly high for that because they did everything then they take off their share, and then what's coming, it's still going to pieces, and so it's a small amount that comes in from that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And the other thing I just wanted to know on the institute, so the Hungarian Film Institute isn't giving you money, but is the Hungarian Film Institute part of the media program? Are they getting money from the media program? Are they getting money from Eurimage?
Yes, I mean Hungary is a Eurimage country, so
but they're not giving it to how many of the filmmakers.
There's not many co-productions made at the moment because it's a very long story, like how the fund is working now. But I mean, we always apply for Creative Europe money, and we luckily we get that a lot of times. So we are super grateful for them, because this is why we as a company can still go on and develop a lot of things. Of course, you know, when you get to production, that's much trickier how to solve it, because there, you know, you need much more money. And for Eurimage, of course, you have rules how to apply, but there's not much Eurimage projects made at the moment, because these nationalist or the projects funded by them, which have a focus on historical, I don't know how to say it nicely, like white male heroes on horses, creating some kind of nice history, like, you know, a glorified history of our country, they are getting a lot of money, so they don't need to go on the market, they don't need to make a co-production. So it's very different in that.
Hi, I have a question. It's about the risk when you mentioned the way you produced and the fact that you took all risks. And now I'm concerned with the revenues, the waterfall that doesn't seem to reflect the risk you have taken. I would like to have a question for Gabor. How much did you put into the film? And do you think it's balanced revenue sharing compared to the risk taken? It's a little bit provocative, I'm sorry.
So we did pay an MG, yes, and it was also for the reason because we wanted to show that we strongly believe in the film and that we want to support the film. Of course, what we put in was more according to the market realities. So also we didn't want to take too many risks, to be honest. So it was a realistic MG, but we did put in some money, and then already from the sales. So Juli did not get the first report yet, but already from these first 20 plus sales. There will be some monies coming back. Also, we tried to keep the costs down so that we don't have additional spending that will have to be reduced as well. So we tried to really find a balanced way on making the production happy as well on the long run, and to have monies back.
And we touched on the Hungarian distribution, but Gabor, when you're speaking with international distributors, how much are you dealing with the political aspect of the film? Are you mentioning, you know, words like Fidesz and Orban? Are you getting into that, or are you steering clear of that?
So the truth is that at the beginning we tried to stay clear of that, because as I mentioned at the beginning we were a bit afraid or that it would not travel well. And so we put the focus somewhere else. But then we realized, not only because in every single review it was going more into the political, but also because we got that response from the buyers that we showed the film to, that actually what Juli was talking about, that the film doesn't take sides, and that it more shows the imbalance and the impossibility of just talking to each other on the different sides. So that traveled very well, and this got a positive response. So we went deeper into that when we kind of modified our sales pitch. And it became much more the selling point than the actual love story that we were first putting the focus on.
We did have a couple of marketing clips, I don't know if we have those available, and to show, which I think show a bit of that, difference, don't they? And if there are any questions after that, we'll take them. If not, we'll, wrap up shortly after that.
And actually, these clips, these are here to kind of show that we were working with a social media agency that prepared these 40-second long clips afterwards to use on social media, and they went into different directions. So there is a clip that goes more in the love story part. There is one that goes more in the political, and the aim was to attract the right kind of audiences.
Great.
Janka. Szeretlek.
So this was obviously the love story that we tried to sell. Wow.
And then
no politics whatsoever.
Gyerek mellére. Gyerek mellére ki volt tűzve a kokákra. Gyerek meg azt mondja, hogy emiatt buktatták meg.
Halló, jó napot kívánok, Hajnal Erika vagyok, újságíró a Magyar Napoknál. Jas, akkor kokáda volt rajtad, ugye? Igen, tudom, hogy nem nyilatkozhat, de szerintem ez egy nagyon fontos ügy. Közügy, a kokárda miatt is.
Próbáltunk neki segíteni, kérdeztük, mi a baj, nem válaszolt. Forrásokat sem használtak. Semmi.
Hogy most láttam a cikket, de akkor ezen már így nem is lehet változtatni, vagy valami.
Kokárda miatt bukott meg egy budapesti diák a történelem érettségén. Számolt be róla délelőtt a Magyar Napok. A napilap cikkéből kiderül, a belvárosi
So no love story in that one.
I think those clips do a very good job of illustrating the variety that's on offer in this film, and sort of the quality of it as well. And if we don't have any further questions, then it just remains for me to thank Juli and Gabor, and thank you for bringing this film here and presenting it. Do see explanation for everything if you haven't, and thank you for coming along.